I was 12 years old when a billionaire laughed in my face, and everything I thought I knew about my father, my life, and the world began to crack open. The moment still replays in my head like a scene burned into film. Euclid Avenue was frozen in chaos. Car horns screamed. Drivers leaned out of windows, angry, impatient, late. In the middle of it all sat a black Rolls-Royce Phantom, flawless and arrogant, even while broken, blocking 2 lanes of traffic during Cleveland's evening rush hour. I noticed it because engines have always pulled my attention the way music pulls other people. Something was wrong with the sound. The starter clicking, but not committing, a mechanical hesitation, a problem that wanted to be understood. I had just finished another long afternoon at Mike Reynolds' auto shop, wiping grease off tools in exchange for lessons most kids my age never got. My hands were stained permanently now. No soap could scrub the oil completely away. Dad used to say that was how you knew you were learning something real. That's when I saw him. The man stepped out of the Rolls-Royce with a phone pressed to his ear, fury radiating from him like heat off hot metal. His suit probably cost more than my mom made in 2 months working double shifts. His shoes didn't touch the pavement so much as commanded. "I don't care where you are," he snapped into the phone. "Send a flatbed now. Immediately. I am not standing here like..." He turned, noticed me watching, and his eyes hardened. "What are you staring at, kid?" I was small for my age, wearing my dad's old mechanic jacket that hung past my knees. My hair was pulled back in a messy knot. Grease smudged my cheeks. I knew exactly what he saw. A poor girl from the wrong side of the city, someone invisible. "It's not starting," I said simply. He let out a short, cruel laugh. "Brilliant observation. That's why I'm calling a tow truck." I hesitated, then said the words that changed everything. "I can fix it." Silence fell between us, thick and uncomfortable. He stared at me as if I'd just told him I could fly. Then he laughed again, louder this time, so loud people in nearby cars turned to look. "You?" he said. "You're what, 10? 12, I corrected. "And yes." He shook his head, disbelief dripping from every movement. "This car is worth more than your entire neighborhood? My personal mechanic charges $300 an hour? And you think you can fix it?" I stepped closer, ignoring the heat in my face. "May I look?" His smile vanished. "Absolutely not." Behind us, horns blared louder. Someone shouted something I couldn't make out. "If you don't," I said carefully, "you're going to be stuck here for a long time." He stared at his phone, then at the growing crowd, then back at me. Pride fought practicality in his eyes. Finally, through clenched teeth, he snapped, "You have 2 minutes." He pulled the hood release. The engine bay was immaculate, polished, perfect. A V12 built by people who knew what they were doing. But I wasn't looking at the obvious parts. My breath caught. This wasn't standard. The intake layout, the ignition sequencing, the capacitor placement. My hands started shaking before I could stop them. I had seen this before. Late nights at our kitchen table, spiral notebooks spread open. My father's handwriting covering every page, lines and arrows and calculations scribbled between coffee stains. He'd tap the paper and say, "Look here, Emma. This is where it fails if you don't respect the heat." "This isn't stock," I murmured. The man stiffened. "What did you say?" "This is a hybrid retrofit," I said, leaning closer. "A custom one." He didn't laugh this time. I traced the design with my eyes. Then I saw it. The mistake. The ignition module was mounted too close to the exhaust manifold. Heat saturation, intermittent failure. A slow death disguised as a mystery problem. My heart pounded. "This system," I whispered, more to myself than him. "This is the Walker Hybrid." His voice sharpened. "How do you know that name?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I was already reaching into my jacket pocket, pulling out my small toolkit, the one Mike gave me, the one my dad would have smiled at. "I need to move this module," I said, 6 inches forward. "Add a heat shield." "You are not touching my car," he said, but the certainty was gone now. "If I don't," I replied, meeting his eyes, "it won't start. Your call." For a long moment, the Billionaire CEO stood there, staring at a 12-year-old girl covered in grease while traffic piled up behind him. Then impossibly, he nodded. I worked fast. I scavenged aluminum flashing from a nearby dumpster. Zip ties, improvised, not pretty but functional. The way my dad taught me. Understand the problem first. Respect the system, never rush the solution. The crowd went silent. When I stepped back, I said, "Try it." The engine roared to life like it had never been broken. Cheers erupted. Someone clapped. Someone whistled. The man stepped out of the car slowly, staring at me as if I'd just rearranged his understanding of reality. "How did you know about that system?" he asked quietly. "My dad," I said. The past tense burned. "He was an engineer." "What was his name?" I swallowed. "Daniel Walker." The color drained from his face. He pulled out his wallet, held out a thick stack of bills. "Take it." I shook my head. "I don't want your money." "What do you want?" he asked. I looked at him, at the man who owned the system my father built, at the man who laughed at me. "I want you to remember," I said, "that the kid who fixed your car learned from Daniel Walker, and that he mattered." I turned away before he could answer. I didn't know yet that this moment had been recorded. I didn't know it would go viral overnight. I didn't know that the man I just embarrassed was Richard Cole, the CEO of Cole Automotive Group. And I didn't know that the hybrid system inside his luxury car was the same invention my father died for and never got credit for. I only knew one thing as I walked home through the cold Cleveland streets, grease on my hands and my heart racing. Something was very, very wrong, and for the first time in my life, I felt strong enough to fix it. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the way Richard Cole's face changed when I said my father's name. Not anger, not confusion, fear, the kind that comes from recognizing something you hoped would stay buried. Our apartment was quiet except for the hum of the old refrigerator. Mom was already home from her first shift, cooking dinner before leaving again for the hospital. She looked exhausted, the kind of tired that settles into your bones. "How was Mike's shop?" she asked gently, like she always did. "Fine," I said, but my voice sounded far away, even to me. I hovered in the doorway, then blurted out the question before I could stop myself. "Mom, did Dad ever work on something called the Walker hybrid system?" The spoon slipped from her hand and clattered against the pot. The sound was sharp, final. She turned the stove off slowly and sat down at the small kitchen table, pressing her palms flat like she needed something solid to hold her upright. "Where did you hear that name, Emma?" I told her everything. The Rolls Royce, the engine, the mistake. Richard Cole. By the time I finished, her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady, too steady. "Your father worked at Cole Automotive for 8 years, she said. He was their lead engineer on hybrid systems. The Walker hybrid was his project, his design, his life's work." My chest tightened. Then why does Richard Cole own it? She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Regret, helplessness, rage that had nowhere to go. 2 weeks before your father planned to file the patent under his own name, she said, there was an accident at the factory, a pressure test. He warned them it wasn't ready. They pushed anyway. Her voice broke. He was trying to save his equipment when the test failed. The word "died" hung between us, unspoken but heavy. "They said it was an accident," I whispered. "They investigated themselves," she replied. "Cleared themselves. 3 months later, Cole Automotive announced the Walker hybrid system. They patented it. They made millions. And they never mentioned your father's name." Something cold settled in my stomach. "They stole it." "I tried to fight them," she said quietly. "I hired a lawyer. I spent money we didn't have. But they buried us in paperwork and delays until I couldn't afford to keep going." I stood up so fast my chair scraped the floor. "Where are Dad's notebooks?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. They were in my closet. 14 spiral notebooks, edges worn, pages filled with my father's handwriting. His ideas, his hope, his belief that doing things right mattered. Notebook 7 had the most detailed diagrams. There it was, every calculation, every innovation, dated years before Cole Automotive's patent. My hands trembled. "Mom, I fixed Richard Cole's car using Dad's stolen invention." She stared at the pages, then at me, her face shifting through shock, anger, and something like pride. "What are you thinking?" I didn't know yet. But I knew I wasn't invisible anymore. The next morning, I walked into Mike Reynolds' shop and froze. Mike was staring at his phone like it had personally betrayed him. "Emma," he said slowly, "you need to see this." The video was shaky, filmed through a windshield, me kneeling in front of the Rolls Royce, Richard Cole laughing, my voice saying, "I can fix this." 15 minutes of work cut down to 2, 3 million views, then 4, then 5. The comments scrolled faster than I could read. Some were cruel, staged, fake, attention-seeking kid, but most were furious, supportive, protective. My daughter is 12. Seeing this girl stand up made her cry. That CEO should be ashamed. I've been a mechanic for 30 years. What she did was real. Mike looked at me carefully. "That hybrid system you mentioned, that's your dad's, isn't it?" I nodded. He exhaled hard. "Kid, this is proof. Real proof." My phone started buzzing. Emails, messages, requests from people I'd never heard of. One subject line made my heart jump. "Interview request." "Don't respond yet," Mike said quickly. "First thing, we protect you, because once you go public, Cole's lawyers will come hard." I swallowed. "I'm not scared." "You should be," he said gently, "but we'll be smart." That afternoon, we drove to Case Western Reserve University to meet Professor Andrew Miller. He studied the notebooks for over an hour, page by page, saying almost nothing. Finally, he looked up. "This is unquestionable. Your father designed the system." "Would you say that publicly?" Mike asked. "Yes," the professor replied. "And you need legal help." Real legal help. As if summoned, my phone buzzed again. Pro bono legal representation offer. Elizabeth Hart. I read the email 3 times before believing it. By evening, the video had passed 8 million views. Then Richard Cole released a statement, a smiling photo, carefully chosen words. He thanked a talented young girl for a temporary repair and announced a donation to a local STEM program. My hands clenched. He made me sound like a cute distraction, a charity case. "He's controlling the narrative," Mike said. "Classic move." "What do I do?" I asked. "You tell the truth," he said, "before he buries it." That night, Mom and I sat at the kitchen table again. Fear sat heavy between us. "These people are powerful," she said softly. "They could hurt us." "They already did," I replied. "They took Dad. They took his work. I won't let them erase him." She closed her eyes for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay, we fight. But we do it right." At midnight, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "This is Helen Brooks, VP of Engineering at Cole Automotive. What happened to your father was wrong. I have information. We need to talk." My heart pounded. I took a screenshot and sent it straight to Elizabeth Hart. Her reply came minutes later. "Do not respond. This means they're scared." I lay awake staring at the ceiling, thinking about my father's hands guiding mine, teaching me how to listen to engines, how to notice what others ignored. Tomorrow I would tell the world what they did to him. Tomorrow Richard Cole would learn that the little girl he laughed at wasn't walking away. The interview went live at noon. I sat under studio lights that felt hotter than any engine I'd ever worked on, my palms sweating as I held my father's notebook against my chest. Across from me, the anchor's voice was calm, measured, almost gentle. He asked my age, where I learned mechanics, why I walked up to a billionaire's car instead of walking away. I answered honestly. I said my dad taught me that broken things don't fix themselves just because they are expensive. Then the screen behind us played the video. Richard Cole laughing. Me saying I can fix this. The moment the engine roared back to life. When the video ended, the studio was quiet. "That system," the anchor said, "you recognized it immediately. Why?" I took a breath. "Because my father designed it, every part, every improvement. Cole Automotive patented it after he died." I lifted the notebook. The camera zoomed in on the pages, dates, diagrams, handwritten notes. "We've verified these documents," the anchor said, looking straight into the camera. "Independent experts confirm they predate the company's patent." They played Richard Cole's statement next. Carefully worded, legal, cold. He called my father a valued team member and said all intellectual property belonged to the company. Something snapped inside me. My dad warned them the pressure test wasn't safe, I said, my voice steady even as my hands shook. They ignored him. He died trying to protect his work. Then they erased him. The words felt heavy and freeing at the same time. What do you want? The anchor asked softly. I want my dad's name on his invention, I said. I want the truth. And I want no other family to lose someone because a company chose profit over safety. By the time the cameras cut, I was exhausted, but something had shifted. Outside the studio, Elizabeth Hart was already on her phone. Cole Automotive stock was falling, reporters were lining up. And then another message came through. Helen Brooks is willing to testify. 3 days later, Richard Cole asked to meet. Elizabeth said no at first, then she listened. Then she agreed on one condition. No lawyers, full transparency. He looked smaller in person, no entourage, no confidence. Just a man carrying a folder like it weighed 100 pounds. He slid a photo across the table. My father, younger, smiling, standing beside an early prototype. I didn't remember his face, Richard said quietly, until you said his name. He showed us emails, safety warnings, reports marked urgent, messages my father had sent begging for more time. I approved the test anyway, Richard said. I told myself engineers worry too much. The deadlines mattered more. You killed him, I said. Yes, he replied, and I stole his work because admitting the truth would have destroyed everything I built. He pushed one final document toward Elizabeth, the settlement. Hey, Jimmer, my father's name on every patent, full credit, financial compensation that would change our lives, a safety foundation in his name, and Richard stepping down as CEO. I'm not asking for forgiveness, he said. I'm asking for the chance to make this right. I thought about my dad, about how he believed people could be better if they were forced to face what they'd done. I signed. The news exploded that night. Headlines everywhere. A billionaire admitting theft. A child winning justice. But none of that mattered as much as the press release Cole Automotive issued the next morning. Daniel Walker was the sole inventor of the hybrid system. We failed him. We are sorry. For the first time since he died, I felt like I could breathe. Weeks later, Mike's shop was full of kids from the neighborhood. I stood at the front, teaching them how to change oil, how to listen to an engine, how to trust themselves when someone tells them they don't belong. My little brother sat in the corner watching, eyes wide. This is Dad, I told him quietly, pointing to the notebook. This is how he lives on. 1 year later, I stood on a stage at a massive auto show, looking out at thousands of people. Behind me was my father's photo and the words Daniel Walker Hybrid System. Fixing things, I said into the microphone, isn't just about machines. It's about refusing to accept what's broken in the world. I held up my dad's old multi-tool. He taught me that even if you're small, even if you're ignored, even if you're scared, you can still change everything by telling the truth. When the applause finally faded, I stepped off stage and went back to the garage, back to grease and tools and kids who reminded me of myself. Because this was never about a Rolls Royce. It was about a father who deserved to be remembered, a system that needed fixing, and a choice to speak up when silence would have been easier. Now, I want to know how this story made you feel. Do you think Emma did the right thing by confronting power instead of walking away? Did this story change the way you see courage or justice? If this story moved you, comment the number 100 below so I know you watched until the end. Tell me which country you're watching from, and if you believe stories like this matter, please share this video so more people can hear it.